Today we're headed to the airport, not because I need to travel anywhere or even drop somebody off, but I do desire to use DTW's series of tunnels to listen to the bellow of the supercharged 5.2 liter V8 of this 2024 Ford F-150 Raptor R. I've been living with this thing for the past 3 days, and I'm excited to take you all along on a bit of a commute to the airport and for real, let you know what it's been like to live with this thing, what it's like to commute it. Airport's about 20 miles from here, so we'll get a good idea of what it's like to float down the highway in this $113,000, I'm gonna call it a hyper truck. So what do we have new for 2024 on the Raptor R? Well, this thing actually just debuted for the 23 model year, which was the pre-facelift F-150. For 24, they have bumped the horsepower from 700 to 720. So this Predator, don't get it confused with the Voodoo of the GT350, but the Predator 5.2 liter supercharged V8 in this is up to 720 horsepower. Torque stays the same at 640 pound-feet. It still has a 10-speed automatic, and it is, of course, still four-wheel drive. You are able to run it in two-wheel drive, though. It is not full-time four-wheel drive, which means you can do plenty of rolling burnouts and, I suppose, standing burnouts or donuts or drifting, whatever you would like to do in this mad machine. But also new for 2024, the F-150 got a bit of a facelift. So we have a bit more of a squared off front end. Our rear end looks slightly different, but they've done a couple of things mechanically as well, apart from the engine on this 24 Raptor R. We have a newer and quicker steering rack, which means when you're on the street, you don't have to do as much steering when you're going around corners, which is nice. My dad has a 2.7 liter EcoBoost 2022 F-150, and you're just constantly working that huge steering wheel, whereas in this Raptor, you really don't have to do that as much, which improves overall driving dynamics while you're on the road. I've heard some reports that while you're off-roading, it can be a little bit more harsh, but I mean, let's be honest, most of the time you're just driving this thing on the street anyways. Also, and I think most importantly, this now has the dual live valve shocks. We no longer have the single, and shocks that people complained were a little bit too harsh. These things are soft, they soak everything up, and they're tuned in such a way to where you put this thing in sport mode, you can have quite a bit of fun on the street as well. We saw this a couple weeks ago in the Bronco Raptor, and I'm happy to report that Ford has absolutely dialed in their suspension tuning here on all of their Raptor products at this point. Otherwise though, I mean, at the end of the day, this is just an F-150, which means we have normal F-150 stuff, like a truck bed. This one has the optional spray-in bed liner. It's got the ruler on the back for you to measure whatever you want to measure. We've got some outlets back here and plenty of storage for all of your stuff. That is a nice thing about the F-150 Raptor and the Ranger Raptor, is that they are fun to drive, but they are also quite practical because they have truck beds. There's got to be a different way to close this. I thought they used to give you like a button on the taillight to close tailgate. I'm just not seeing it. Someone pointed out to me. Dual exhaust right out the back, tow hooks, sliding rear window. This is finished in Avalanche, and what's funny is that the Raptor R, it does kind of stand alone as a model, but when you go on the configurator, it's an optional extra, a $32,000 option that you can tick to, you know, bump this thing up to 6 figures. So this is an F-150 Raptor with the R package, I suppose, is how Ford would like me to deliver that information. You can see our dual live valve shocks there on the back. For tires, we have some BFG all-terrain TA KO2s, of course, as most of the Ford off-road oriented vehicles do come with these. We've got some beadlock wheels, which I think look excellent on this. We've got a bit of a graphics package here. Not really too obnoxious. Usually the Raptor graphic packages are a little bit more look at me. I think this one kind of fits the vibe nicely. Let's pop the hood and take a look at this 5.2 liter V8, and then we'll jump on the road and we will get started with our drive. Lots of subtle ways to show you that this is a Raptor R. You have the little red R badge on the end of all of your Raptor badges. So I kind of appreciate the subtlety here. And there it is, our Predator 5.2 liter V8. This is the engine that you get in the outgoing, or it's a few model years old at this point, but the latest Shelby GT500 did share this motor. At this point, I believe this is the only thing that you can get this in. I also don't think that Ford sells this as a crate motor anymore, and if they do, I think they sell it as like a Raptor R. They don't really call it a Predator anymore, but that is what this is. So actually quite a bit of room in this engine bay to do some work. And I never drove the 2023, but I was told that you couldn't really hear the supercharger whine in that car, and Ford's NVH team has actually taken some out for 24, so you can hear that supercharger whine, which I do like. It's not as loud as like a TRX or any other of the Dodge Hellcat vehicles, but you definitely can hear a little bit of that supercharger. Super practical backseat area. This is the same as any Super Crew F-150. Plenty of room on the floor to put stuff, little compartment under the seat, and I mean, the back seats in these trucks have gotten so big, you guys. I mean, you just feel like you're sitting in the back of a Lincoln Town Car limousine when you're back here. There's so much room. The seats are cozy. You've got grab handles to get in and out of this thing. You've got some cup holders back here, heated seats, climate vents. You've got a number of chargers and things. But I think the biggest plus with these is just the sheer amount of room you have in the back of these Super Crew F-150s. Taking a look up front, not too much different from just a regular Lariat or Platinum, whatever, F-150. A lot of the same stuff, just trimmed differently. Raptor here on the console. We'll step up front and we'll show you some of the other differences. Every Raptor R comes with the B&O Unleashed 14-speaker sound system. We have Recaro seats with Alcantara. You can see we have our red R badge on there. You can see kind of in the perforation here a V8 on the armrest here. Love to see little touches like that. Thicker steering wheel with paddle shifters, red R on the bottom of it, but otherwise, I mean, not really too much different from anything else. Ford Performance door sills, carbon fiber. Oh man. Okay, I didn't sleep too well last night, so I'm hoping this thing wakes me up a bit, but let's go ahead and fire this Raptor R up. For some reason it didn't adjust to my memory seat, no matter. We have a power adjust steering column in this truck. We have this silly little fold down shifter that you get in a lot of the other F-150s as well. It is an optional extra in some of the trucks, but it comes standard here in the Raptor. Massive center console, normal F-150 stuff. Multiple compartments over here, glove box. Here is our Monroney, $112,145. I guess that was $1,000 high in what I said. Sorry, it's 112 grand. EPA estimated fuel economy, 10 city, 15 highway, 12 combined. Spoiler alert, this week I have been getting 9 MPG. I've put 100 miles on this truck, and well, the fuel economy has been 9 even. I've gone 113 miles. I've used exactly half a tank. So if you've got a bit of a lead foot like me, look for single-digit fuel economy numbers. But I mean, I don't need to walk you guys through everything else in here because it is genuinely just normal F-150 stuff. So nothing really crazy. Infotainment works just how it did. And power adjust pedals, which is nice to see, but otherwise all the same in here. Honestly, the only real thing that I have to complain about in this truck is the shifter. My dad has this on his truck, and it's so irritating to operate because you kind of have to go at the shifter's pace. If you're in drive and you pull up and you quickly want to go into park, it locks you out, and you have to, you have to go slowly and go at the pace of this thing. So I don't know, and it feels really toyish and light and cheap in the hands. But once you select your gear, once you're in reverse, really nice cameras here. Once you're in drive, you don't have to touch it anymore. You forget about it, and you can enjoy the driving experience of your Raptor R. I just wish they'd give us something nicer. I can't believe that they've let this shifter go on for as long as it has. Since we're in a Raptor, we will not be slowing down for the speed bump. There we go. Fox shocks doing their thing there. I love that after all the years of the Ram TRX being kind of top dog in these truck horsepower wars, Ford comes in at the last minute with a truck that makes, handful more horsepower, but also they come in as the TRX is being phased out. So they went from not having a V8 truck in the market to being the only one with a hot V8 truck. and they got down to business. I mean, I've never driven one of these prior to a few days ago, but I have an incredible appreciation for the team of engineers over at Ford Performance, because this is, I think, the most dialed in pickup truck I've ever driven. It's just unbelievable. All of the inputs, I mean, I'm always one to complain about this 10-speed, but in this truck, I have nothing bad to say about it. I think maybe they just needed 720 horsepower and 640 pound-feet of torque to wrangle this 10-speed and kind of be able to smooth out these gear changes. Because that was always the thing with this transmission, is that it's clunky, you know, it doesn't really have a lot of confidence, but it's very confidence-inspiring in this Raptor R. You have no misshifts, you have no weird searching, no clunkiness. You just ride that wave of torque and it feels fantastic. You can hear that supercharger. This person does not know what lane they're going into. But the fun continues when you come into a corner. I'm not even any sort of custom drive mode right now. Even if the semi comes into your lane a bit there, the size of this thing is kind of the only downside. We'll talk about that a bit later. But what I love about this, and what I love about a lot of the recent Raptor products from Ford, is that, you know, they pitch them as these crazy off-road Baja weapons that you can do very high-speed sand running in. But they're also so fun to drive on the street. I mean, this is just like a big rally car. Like, I've never driven a pickup truck that handles like this on street. It's unbelievable. My favorite button here on the steering wheel is the exhaust button, which allows you to toggle through 4 different settings: quiet, normal, sport, and Baja. You can hear that change. That just means the valves are wide open. You can also take manual control of our 10-speed. But you can see here, the nice thing about this, why is everybody in this lane right now? The nice thing about this is you don't get twisted up around corners. You can confidently steer this thing and, you know, not have to move the positioning of your hands on this massive steering wheel. So we also have a sport drive mode that puts us into 4-wheel drive auto. Put our exhaust back into Baja. Cool. All right. There's a little bit of a bridge up here. Might be able to get a sneak peek of what this exhaust sounds like. Yes. Okay, let's put this back into drive. Let's switch it back into normal mode. And actually, we're gonna go into Baja exhaust mode for just a second, because I want to demonstrate to you guys just how quiet the quiet exhaust mode is on this thing. All right, so we're running in Baja right now. I'm gonna put it in quiet. And the Predator ceases to exist. I mean, it just gets So quiet. Going down the highway in this thing, no real complaints as far as that goes either. You know, American highways are plenty large to accommodate trucks like this. We don't have Blue Cruise in this Raptor R, but we do have lane keep assist. We have adaptive cruise. Plenty of things to help you move this big chunk of American iron. We'll go ahead and set our cruise control. We have our lane keep assist, and we can also toggle our adaptive cruise here. We have 4 different distance settings. I usually leave mine on the closest because it follows plenty far behind anyways. MPG is down to 8.7, but I mean, like I said earlier, if you really baby this thing, you are able to get up to 15 MPG. I don't really see how that would be possible, but I imagine if you're buying an F-150 Raptor R, you aren't super concerned about fuel economy. And despite this having a much tighter steering rack for 2024, I mean, you're dialed in still going down the highway. Small adjustments are not sending you flying in this Raptor R. So I think overall steering performance and tuning, they've absolutely nailed it. I would love to get one of these off-road to see what it's like in that sort of setting. But for your regular sort of commute in this thing, it's going to do just fine for you. Now let's talk about what the F-150 aspect of this Raptor R means, and that is just pure comfort and bliss in day-to-day driving. I mean, the F-150 is, I think it's the best-selling vehicle in America. They sell one of these like every couple of seconds or something like that, which means they have to make this car so dialed in to keep that status of having such a successful platform, a successful vehicle that's been around for so many years. So sitting in this truck, commuting in it, it's so comfortable. I mean, they know their market. They know that people that buy F-150s want to be comfortable, whether you're using this as a daily like my dad does, or if you're using it as a work truck. You've got really nice pads for your elbows. The one in the middle, it's a bit firm, but it is still squishy enough to rest your arm here. Plus, you can kind of rest your entire arm over here, rest it on this stupid plastic shifter here in the middle, and you can actually set yourself up really nice in this F-150. So ergonomically, no complaints. Seating position is nice. I can see out of this thing just fine. Visibility is great. We've got a number of cameras when it comes down to parking. My dad always says that he loves his parking cameras so much for backing into spots. It really helps place this big truck. You can switch into 4-wheel drive on the fly. I mean, physical climate controls. Everything works nice. Everything is straightforward in here. It's just such a nice package. And really, NVH is not that bad either. I don't have to raise my voice in this thing. With the exhaust in quiet mode, even on these KO2s, 79 miles an hour. Yeah, I mean, gets it done. So you ride in luxury. I mean, that's kind of the thing nowadays. I mean, a lot of these high-end trucks, at the end of the day, they are luxury vehicles. They still make the $40,000 work truck for you to go and have, but you can have this platform in such a luxurious way at this point. It's kind of been that way for the past 10, 15 years, being able to get these high-end trucks, and they just keep getting better and better. As we eat up these last few miles on the highway, why don't we do a sound system test on this B&O Unleashed sound system, which has speakers in the headliner, kind of like a Mercedes with the Burmester. So I'll get a song queued up and then we will listen to this system.
Feeling young.
can see there, a very strong performance from this B&O Unleashed. I mean, this is the top of the line sound system offered in any F-150. It's quite a hefty option if you get a lower trim, and I can see why. It isn't the most complex system in the world, but it does have a ton of power, and it definitely makes a statement. If you're listening to kind of less complex bass-heavy music, I mean, this is the sound system. It absolutely rips. It punches really hard. All right, well, we have arrived. And what we're gonna do now is set this thing up into my Raptor mode, which you hit this little R button twice on the left-hand side of the steering wheel. My mode is set up into regular suspension, comfort steering, and sport exhaust. However, for today, we're gonna switch our exhaust into Baja so we can get the most out of this in here. This Predator. All right, we're just gonna do a couple little baby pulls here, and that'll be it. I'm gonna grab manual mode. Sometimes you get little pops from this exhaust. Interesting to me because this Predator is not very like traditional American V8 sounding. It is almost like European-ish. Like it almost sounds a little bit E92 M3 to me. Obviously it doesn't rev as high. It does rev to 7,000 RPM, which is pretty high for a V8 in any case. But I think it makes a good sound. I think that it adds a little bit of complexity to this truck. All right, guys, we're gonna do a couple more tunnels here, and then that's gonna wrap it up for us today. The Topher will also have a video on this thing, so if you wanna get his take, you wanna see some more professional driving impressions here on the Raptor R. I mean, he is the Raptor guy. I mean, he is the expert on these things, so I encourage you to go over to the Topher channel and check out his Raptor R video. I'm actually on my way to drop it off to him as we speak, so. All right, I'm just gonna go watt. See, let it downshift itself. Oh my goodness, yes. I'll give that a pass. I honestly really love the way it sounds between 2,000 and 3,000 RPM. That low rumble with the underlying tone of the supercharger whine is just such a cool noise. I don't know if I said it earlier. This thing is so fast. Like, it's unbelievable for a truck. I got in this a few days ago and I took it around the block, and it's moments like that I wish I had the camera on, because I was just blown away by how quickly this thing moves. I mean, 0 to 60's got to be under 4 seconds on this. I haven't looked up the actual figure, but it certainly feels like a mid 3 second 0 to 60 on a Ford F-150 Super Crew. So, yeah, it's big, yeah, it's heavy, but 720 horsepower is no joke. Okay, let's talk about one last thing, and that is the size of this F-150 Raptor. And it's kind of in situations like this where you do feel the size of this truck. And it's where, okay, W220, I so believe in you to make a lane change. There you go. Oh, all the way over across 4 lanes. Anyways, it's in situations like this where you feel the heft, you feel the size of this truck. And it's doable, but you know, the already large F-150 Super Crew is just made even larger and wider when you lift it up and, you know, make it wider with larger fender flares and things like that. So sometimes parking this thing is a little bit of a hassle. The cameras do help, but it's fitting it in the garage is the biggest thing. This will not fit in my garage at home. I was able to fit the Ranger Raptor and the Bronco Raptor, of course, in the garage, but just barely. So you have to have quite a large garage, or maybe just a barn. I suppose if you have F-150 Raptor R money, you probably have a barn dominium or you have a pole barn or something, so that doesn't really matter too much for you. But for regular people, it may be tough actually storing this thing when you're not driving it because it is just so massive. But what I love about it so much is that in a spirited setting, it doesn't drive massive. So it's really fun to drive still. I've had an absolute blast driving this thing this week. I really don't have any complaints other than I wish they'd put a different shifter in it, but that's something so minor that it doesn't really matter too much. So if you have the means, have yourself an F-150 Raptor R. I can't imagine they will be around for very long, which means they'll probably become collector's items and will be extremely unobtainable someday. So get one while you can. Strike while the iron's hot. Overall, though, just kudos to the team at Ford Performance, all of the engineers that had a hand in making this thing. You've absolutely knocked it out of the park, and you've taken a platform that, you know, essentially had to be used, and I'm just doing a very bad job parking. Please excuse me here. I will fix it. You've taken a platform that essentially had to be used, right? The F-150, and you've turned it into something that is such an enthusiast vehicle, so fun to drive, something that you can have fun on or off-road, and I mean, just great job. It's such a good all-around package. I love this truck. I've had so much fun in it, and I'm going to be sad to let it go. It's got soul, it's got character. I have bonded with it, which doesn't happen too often anymore with new vehicles. So really happy about this truck, even though I've only been doing 9.1 mpg. Let's jump out, take one last look at it. That'll be it for us today. Can't think of any better reason to go to the airport than to just blast through the tunnels and listen to the Predator sing. Cool. That was a little corny, I'm sorry. Okay, I'll see you guys in the next one. Again, let me know if you have any questions, but that'll wrap it up. Take care.